Hey guys, for today's video, I'm going to be going over kind of like my story on how I became a makeup artist and just kind of tips and tricks that I might have for you in case that you were interested in becoming a makeup artist, how to get there, recommendations, things like that. So, I don't know if this is really interesting, but I hope that you guys enjoy this video and let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, so I'm just going to start at the very beginning and just kind of like talk you through my story, and then I'm going to answer your questions if I didn't answer them while I was explaining like my story to you. So I have to say that like my journey kind of started when I was 18 years old and I got my first like real job at the Pink store by Victoria's Secret in Orland Square Mall. And I loved that job when I was working there, and I very quickly worked up into management. My management position was a temporary position because they have those positions for the holiday season, and when the holidays were over, my position was going away. So I wanted to stay in management because I realized that that's something that I wanted to do. And that was like at that point after working there, I really wanted to be in management and move up with a company and work for corporate. That's like what I thought I was going to do. During that time, I was at my community college just taking my like basic general classes, and I was gonna get like an associate's degree in communications or business or something like that. But at that point, I wasn't sure exactly what degree that was going to be, but I knew I wanted it in something along those lines because in retail or anything that you work for corporate, you need to have some kind of degree once you get to a certain level. So I knew that that was something that I wanted to do. And while I was working there, I started watching YouTube videos and getting more interested in makeup. Now, I've always been a girly girl. I loved makeup like all growing up, but I didn't know anything about it. I just played with it. I just liked it. And I don't think that I was like good at it or bad. I just think I was like a regular person, just enjoyed doing makeup. So I started watching YouTube videos. The first like exciting thing that I purchased was the Naked palette from Urban Decay, and I just remember it being such a big deal. And then my NARS Laguna bronzer. Those were like the first like makeup purchases that I made that were like a big deal to me and that like were special to me. But anyway, so that temporary position was coming to a close, so I got a management position at Bare Minerals in the same mall. And at that point, I did not know anything about putting makeup on somebody else. I had never done it before. This was like my first makeup job kind of thing, but I was still a manager, so that was still my main priority, was management. So there I got to learn just the basics on how to apply it. I learned a lot from who I worked with. That's going to be one of my biggest tips for you guys that are just getting started, is getting a job in the cosmetic industry and learning from your peers and the artists around you, because that is the biggest and the least expensive way on learning and broadening your artistry and things like that. So I would definitely recommend that. That's going to be your like #1 thing that you're going to want to do if you want to become a makeup artist, because you're going to learn something from someone else. Even now, that's something that I wish I had, even though I'm not going back to retail. I wish I was constantly working with other artists, because you learn new things every day, constantly. So that's something that I do miss from working in a makeup artistry environment, but definitely something I recommend. So I worked there for about 1.5 years, and then I went to Sephora. And at Sephora, in that same darn mall, I was their operations lead. So again, from management to management. And there, basically, my job was to basically own the back room. I would order supplies, do RTVs, transfer products, put out the shipments Wednesday nights at midnight, make sure that the whole floor was like marketed nice and everything was just like, and it was a hard job because I was supposed to have an assistant, and I didn't really get an assistant until like the end, and it was just a hot mess express. So while at Sephora, I really learned a lot. I learned so much about so many different products from so many different brands. You're constantly getting education while you work there. So it's just an amazing place to work, especially if you think that your like makeup artistry knowledge like is not where you want it to be. That's kind of like how I was. I knew everything you needed to know about Bare Minerals, every ingredient, and then going to Sephora, I knew so much about Bare Minerals and nothing about anything else. So, except for products that had used before. While working there, I thought that I was going to move up with Sephora. I really wanted to be on the corporate education team. I didn't want to do anything artistry wise because as a manager, I wasn't doing makeup on people ever. I was always doing my management roles. While I was working there, I actually started my YouTube channel. I started it in October of 2013. I had wanted to start a YouTube channel ever since I started watching them because I started learning so much and then I caught on pretty quick. You don't have to be a makeup artist to make YouTube videos. You can make YouTube videos wherever you are in your journey in becoming a makeup artist or in anything. Like YouTube, you could do anything you want with YouTube. So I started my YouTube channel in October, right around Halloween, and I don't know why. I think I just randomly was like, I really want to do this and just did it randomly. And Halloween's a really good time to start a YouTube channel if you're interested because it's a really great way to demonstrate your artistry, your talent, and come up with really new cool ideas, and those are things that people will be searching for at that time. So I got to the point where I was at a crossroads. I was either going to stay with Sephora or I was going to focus on my YouTube career. And I know the potential that YouTube has. I see all these people do so well and so successful, and even though I don't know if I'm ever going to get to that point where some people are in their YouTube career, just the journey and the creativeness that I could be, and just, I don't know, I've always been into like filming and editing too. Is that weird? And me and my friend Candace would make movies, and silly movies. We would just make those and I'd do like little edits on our voice and stuff like that, and I just thought it was the coolest thing. And then in 7th grade I had a project where you could write a paper or do a poster board, or you could create like a movie. So I got my friend Stephanie to help me with this project, and it's the most hilarious thing. It's probably just funny because I'm watching myself and I remember like creating it and stuff like that. But one day I have to post it because it's just so funny. But anyways, so I have always been interested in the whole process of creating something in that way. So YouTube is just perfect because I could do the makeup part of it and do this whole filming, setup, editing stuff, which I have a lot to learn still. But yeah, so I was at a crossroads and things weren't going the way that I wanted at Sephora. I'm not gonna get into the nitty-gritty of everything because there are pros and cons of everywhere that you work, especially in retail. Retail just sucks, and I am so sorry to those of you who are still stuck in retail. I know it feels like you are never going to get out. I sympathize with you, especially during the holidays and during the summer. Like, oh, there was no possible way of me just quitting Sephora with nothing left. Like, I know I'm young, but I have bills and I have debt, and it's stupid debt that I should not have, but I have things that I need to pay for that I've bought because I'm stupid, and I needed a job. So I applied at a bunch of different makeup places and I got the job at MAC inside Nordstrom in Oak Brook. Now, that was like my dream makeup job. I just thought, like, if you worked at MAC, you made it, you're the best, like, you're working with the best of the best and other artists. I was so excited to work there. Not to mention, I actually knew 2 people that I used to work with that worked there, so it just seemed awesome. Working in management, I was never ever allowed to have like any kind of specific availability. I just always had to have open availability. So since I was kind of stepping down and I wanted very low hours, I didn't want a lot of hours because I really wanted to make YouTube a focus. I had decided that that was like the route that I wanted to take, and I was like, well, I want as low as many hours as you can give me, and I need Sundays off. For like 5 years, I didn't go to church because I was working on Sundays. So I was at a point where like I just really needed to make God my main priority. So we had this agreement where I would work every other Sunday, and then the Sundays that I would work, I would start at 2 o'clock because that way I could still go to church and then come, because I guess Sunday's like a really big day for MAC and Nordstrom, so we made that agreement. So once I started working there, that all kind of just like went downhill. I'm not gonna get into like little itty bitty specific ideas. If you're interested, Snapchat me, we can have a little chit chat, but I'm not about to like broadcast everything. But Basically, that didn't happen. I had to work every single Sunday and they gave me like 46 hours a week. So that's that. There are so many different things. If you guys were subscribed to me last year around this time when I went on like a 2-month break and I like wasn't around, and then when I came back I told you all these like horror stories about like chronic migraines and all that. Yeah, you get the gist of it. Basically, just to put it mildly, worst place I've ever worked in my entire life. So I ended up putting in my 2 weeks without even having anything lined up. I was like, whatever, I can just like bust my ass and try to like freelance as much as possible. Anything is better than being trapped there. That's like how I felt. And I got a job back at my old Sephora store, just part-time for the holidays. I only worked on Saturday. So I worked there through the holiday season, and the temporary positions were ending again, as temporary holiday positions do. They asked if I wanted to stay on, because then you have to like re-interview for that part, and I was just like, hey, listen, I'm probably going to end up leaving anyways because YouTube is my main priority and I just wanted to be upfront and honest. So they really appreciated that, and we just decided that now would be the better time, because then they could keep somebody that was temporary that was actually wanting to stay. And I get it. It's totally fine. So it was just like a mutual departing, I guess you could say. So yeah, that is just like the gist of everything. I did not want to go into too many specifics about things because, like I said, every single company has pros and cons, and I don't want to dwell on all the bad stuff about places. Except for MAC, there wasn't much good. I'm gonna go on Instagram and answer your question. Jordan Taylor _MUA asked, how do I become a famous makeup artist? I work as one in a salon, LOL. I don't know how to become a famous makeup artist. Sorry, I really don't know. I think like if you want to get into like social media and stuff like that, like I don't consider myself like amazing at what I'm doing right now. Like I really need to improve. I think that everybody always has room for improvement. So I think just like putting yourself out there, making sure like if you want to do like something like on Instagram, make sure you're tagging companies and using your hashtags so people can find you. But I don't do that all the time, so I'm not the best at giving that advice. Paige asked me, I want to know when you finally had enough with retail and why. Retail is the worst ever. MAC was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back. I don't want to like talk terrible about them, but I just don't have anything nice to say, to be honest. I needed to do what was good for me, what was the best for my life, and I just wanted to live life. Like, life is too short to be stuck at a job that you hate. Like, do what you love. And people say this, do what you love and the money will come later. That is so true. I'm doing what I love. I'm still waiting for the money to come, but I mean, slowly but surely it's coming, and seriously, do what you love and the money will come later. It's Me Lauren asked, where do you find inspiration for your clients' looks? It would be hard for me to experiment with different looks. I'd end up doing my go-to look on all the clients. That's a good question, actually. I don't get inspiration from anywhere else besides the client, pretty much. They tell me what they want and I kind of just like create it for them. A lot of times I will have somebody sitting down and I'll ask them what they want and they'll say, I don't know, what do you think? Or you're the expert, you should know, or something along those lines. Trust me, what I do, you are not going to like. I've never had somebody be like, yes, your vision is exactly what I wanted, because everybody thinks something completely different in their brain. Really being able to ask those open-ended questions and really get an idea of what they want is gonna be like your best bet, and then you can kind of create it. Amanda Whitner? I don't know how to pronounce her last name. She asked me how I'm able to do clients' makeup without a license. I just do it. I don't know. No one's going around asking me like, do you have a license? Do you have your license? I didn't go to school at all. I taught myself from watching YouTube videos and practicing every single day in the mirror. Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't even know if you need to be licensed in Illinois to do it. I did get certified at every makeup place that I've been at, but I don't think that's the same as being like licensed under Illinois. So yeah, I don't know, I just kind of do it. I've never ever had a problem with it before. No one has ever asked to see my license. It's just never been an issue, so I just do it. And you're actually the first person that's asked me that, because I don't think people really truly care. As long as you have like the experience or know what you're doing, I think that's like all that really matters. Christy Corey asked me, how do you start out? What kinds of classes do you recommend? How to make it in a place where makeup artists aren't really in high demand, marketing tips, a way to get your name out there, kit recommendations. That's a lot of questions. Again, I recommend getting a job in the makeup industry. I recommend starting at, like, for instance, Ulta. Even if it's just like a regular retail job, just to get some kind of interaction experience, doing that, because then you can get a job at, like, say Ulta or Sephora or something like that. Every single person that I have met that has worked at Ulta though has hated it. I have never worked there. I definitely recommend Sephora if you can. You'll get something called gratis, which is free product from companies, and you can start building up your kit from your gratis or whatever, and you also get discounts. So that's a really great way to build up your kit because you get discounts from working in the industry. What kinds of classes do you recommend? I haven't taken any classes at all, but I honestly think that that would really be great, even for somebody that already is a makeup artist. Just staying fresh and getting intake from other artists on their recommendations is very important and really great in advancing your artistry skills. Any classes that you can take and are able to afford, just take them. I don't think that it is technically necessary to go to like a makeup school to become a makeup artist. It is not like a stepping stone to get there, but if you want those extra classes and you feel like that is something that would really benefit you, I definitely recommend it. It's just something that I didn't do. How do you make it in a place where makeup artists aren't really in high demand? Advertise in other areas. Drive out to those areas and pass out business cards. I have business cards made on Vistaprint. Hand them out to everybody, family members, because out of just your close group around you, someone will know somebody that's getting married and needs a makeup artist. Somebody needs somebody. And then you can provide that personal and private interaction that a Macy's, Sephora, or a MAC store like can't give them. You asked me about kit recommendations, and the number one thing that I have to recommend to you is a Z palette. This Z palette, I think these cost about 20 bucks. Half of these are Makeup Geek, half of them are MAC, and then a couple of Anastasia, and this is Makeup Forever in here. But basically you take your eyeshadows that are in a pan form like this and you just put them in your palette like this, and it is great. You can make a palette that's like your bridal palette or one that's like your party event palette, you know, whatever, and that's a good way that you can condense your kit so that it's not so heavy and you have exactly what you need. So, like, you only need that. You can put blushes in here. It's just amazing. If you're looking for affordable eyeshadow makeup options that you can use, I definitely recommend Makeup Geek. I have a link down below to where you can find Makeup Geek products, including blushes, eyeshadows, liners, all that jazz. I am an affiliate with them, so if you're uncomfortable using my link, that's totally fine. I understand. You can just shop their website without my link. Whatever, just gotta put it out there because some people are really weird about that. But I've used them for over a year now. They're like my favorite eyeshadows to go to because they are like $5 each and gives you amazing results. Alma asked me, what affordable brushes do you recommend starting off with? Sigma. If you compare it to MAC or other brands, it's honestly like the most affordable and best quality brushes that I've used. I have a coupon code down below where you get 10% off. I'm an affiliate with them too, so you can shop with or without it, whatever you feel. You could also use like Real Techniques. Those you can get at Ulta. Bad Cameras asked me, what were your experiences while working at MAC and what made you leave it? I kind of touched on that. And again, like, I only told you like a little bit of it. That's not even half of what happened. If you want to know specifics about my time there, throw me a Snapchat. We can have a chit chat and I'll talk about it. She said, how do you know if you are buying a good quality makeup brush if you haven't tried it before and if it's from the drugstore and not a fancy brand? You basically just kind of have to try it out for yourself. You can't just look at a brush and just know if it's going to be good or bad. You really have to try it out. Things that you want to look for is it completely shedding? Check and see how it's blending. Is it blending out your products nicely? Make sure it's not sucking up all of your products. Everybody on Facebook pretty much asked me like the same things that you guys did on Instagram, and I feel like I've pretty much touched on everything. So to round up everything in this video, I highly, highly, highly recommend getting a job in the cosmetic industry, retail. Like, I hate retail, retail sucks, but kind of just like bite the bullet, do it for 2 years. So yeah, I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any other questions, please let me know down below. If you have anything that you want to ask that I didn't want to share, feel free to send me a snap on Snapchat. I have all of my social media stuff down below in the info box. So yeah, I think I went over everything. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys are having an awesome day, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye. Whew, bad breath.